And for me, I'm a relationship education advocate. And so my role is to advocate for us to understand that relationship education is just as important as a traditional education or an education when it comes to business or when it comes to anything else that you would have education in, because I think we have missed out on that generation where there were decades and decades ago where mother and grandmother, grandfather and father would teach you, not always, directly, sitting you down and teaching you the birds and the bees, but just giving you those nuggets that you carry forth when it comes to grooming you and preparing you to be able to have the relationships and the marriages that you're going to have, that advice, that knowledge that you need so that when that situation comes for you, you're prepared. And I do understand that nowadays it is more focused on people actually making sure that your kid is aware of getting a formal education and starting a good career, or maybe even starting a business or whatever. And I understand that's the focus because we want to make sure that our kids do well financially and are able to take care of themselves. But I think what's missing is we're shying away from also letting them know that love, marriage, and relationship is just as important as you having a degree, because I believe there's so many people out here now that have the career, the degree, and the job, and maybe the business that they want, but now they can't get the love and the relationship and the care that they want on top of that, and that's what's missing. And so being able to now give that relationship education that's so needed to allow those individuals to be able to say, hey, now I not only have the career I want or the business that I want, but I also have the love that I want or the knowledge that I need to be able to concentrate on making that love come about and not just find a person. Because I think that's what relationship education really does, is to help you find your person, the person that is best for you. And unfortunately, so many people are out here and they may have a relationship or be in a relationship, but it's not a loving one. It's not one that is happy and harmonious. It's a relationship, but it's not the best relationship. And unfortunately, I think we have to understand that you're not only not having the relationship you want, but the person that you're with is not having the relationship they want either. And so the best thing is for you all to break up, because I also am a breakup coach, but to break up from what you're doing, because this is not the best for neither one of you. And it's going to put you in a position for you to find what's best for you and them find what's best for them. And that's going to make not just one happy relationship, it's going to make for two happy relationships. And you're both going to be happy because you both are happy for each other and the relationships you have, because you're happy to be in the one that you're in. So it's those things that, and I know fear is the number one thing that stops any relationship that we have from being able to prosper and even start. I mean, most people are fearful to even start a relationship, but definitely prosper the relationship. We're scared to commit. We're scared to, my feelings, and I don't want to get hurt and all of those things. But when we get past those things, and relationship education helps you to understand. So just like it is with education of anything, if I'm educated about, building a house, it makes the fear of building a house so much less than if I was not educated. If somebody gave me a whole bunch of wood and bricks and cement and said build a house, and I had no education on how to do it, I'm terrified. I have to do this and make it work. But if I was educated on what it is that I need to do to make these bricks and the wood and the cement come together to build a home and build a wonderful foundation, as you indicated before, now I have those things and I have the education to understand how to make that happen. And now my fear or level of doing it and building it is so much less than what it would have been before. And that's what we really want to get to Because now you're not afraid of relationship, you're not afraid of dating, you're not afraid of taking that chance, and even if it doesn't work out, you're learning from it and you're growing from it, and that's going to make you better for the next one.
I love it. So what do you feel like is one of a topic that we can discuss right now that you feel like is an issue or a barrier or a concern, especially in our Black community? We know that we have a few.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's why this communication is so important, because like we got to work through this. Like, just because you have a problem, like avoiding it or not talking about it, it's not going to allow it to go away.
Right.
Like, that's in a marriage. Like, we know that, you know, you may need a cool off period if there's a disagreement or something that you need to discuss. But at some point, we have to discuss these things. So I'm sure in our conversations, we're going to discuss many issues or challenges or barriers that we have in the Black community. What is a issue that we fit to discuss right now that that you would want to kind of talk about?
Well, hey, it's like I said, it's plenty of things, and it's funny that it's not one specific thing that comes to mind, but I'll just take a stab at something and see where we can go with that. But one of the things that I think we have to understand is, you know, especially with me concentrating on really working with the youth, because one of the things I'm learning is that, you know, at least with a lot of the younger people, they have a different perspective of wanting to have the relationship and the love and the marriage that maybe they didn't see their parents have. A lot of times when they grow up and they didn't see that, it makes them say, okay, I really want that for myself. You know, even though I didn't see it growing up, I really want that for myself. And it's understanding, you know, taking the time to really understand what that looks like. We were talking before earlier about just how we have people that, you know, if you don't understand that we can have these barriers when it comes to how to communicate. Meaning the thing we were talking about was just individuals, let's say the women are saying, oh, well, guys don't approach anymore.
Right.
You know, but the guys are feeling like, well, when we do approach, we're getting shot down.
Right.
And, you know, as we were talking about earlier, you know, we know that doing the same thing over and over and over and getting a different result is insanity.
Right.
So it's not going to be too many guys that if they keep getting shot down, they keep getting people rejecting them, or, you know, especially more so, you know, not just rejection, but rejection with insult, rejection with, you know, this look or this, you know, this vitriol that makes them feel like, whoa, you know, man, I almost hate that I approached. If that continues, after a while, that person is just going to stop doing that.
Right.
It's not too many people that's going to keep banging their head against a brick wall thinking that brick is going to crack. They're going to think, no, the only thing that I'm doing is hurting my skull. And so after a while, they understand, okay, I'm not going to crack this brick. You know, this brick is harder than my head, so I'm going to figure out another way to go about doing this, even if it means, unfortunately, moving away from approaching a person. Because if it's not working out, or if you're not getting success with it, then after a while you're going to stop. And so, as I was saying earlier, it has to be, like we were saying, communication on both ends.
Right.
At some point, there has to be someone saying, from, you know, on the lady's perspective, okay, we do have to address the fact that we need to be mindful of how we treat people that approach us.
Yeah.
So that they understand, okay, I might be in this situation or that situation, but I don't have to be nasty about it.
Right.
I don't have to be mean about it. Just communicate in a way that allows you to understand that, okay, this is the situation, and, you know, you can go from there. Now, I do understand there's always going to be those people that are going to take it too far. But there's also the understanding of how to handle that as well, so that you can have what you need. I remember just a personal story, you know, being in Tampa, Florida, and going out to a nightclub and approaching a sister in the club. And, you know, she was so nice to me and stuff like that when we were talking. And so I'm thinking she's available and single. And I asked her, do you have a man or whatever? She's like, yeah, I do actually. And he's here right now in the club. And I was like, whoa, let me leave you alone. She was like, no, it's cool. What have you. She was like, but I did enjoy speaking to you. And you seem like a great guy. And if I wasn't in a relationship, who knows? Yeah. And it was like the way she said it and how she, ended it, but in a respectful way. I walked away like, whoa, that wasn't even really a rejection. I didn't feel any kind of way of feeling, rejected or what have you. It was like, hey, I get your situation and I understand it. And I love the way that you basically spoke to that. But in a way that was, hey, respectful of your man, but also respectful of me. And so you were able to walk away from that, with knowing that, okay, this is not that bad. Yeah. But when you walk away from it, when I've had a situation where, approached a sister and said, hey, what's your name? And she said, unavailable. And it was just like, it's like, what? So it's just those, there's those type of situations that we gotta, get past.